Hello, hello. Number 20 in the Awkward Black Man. Oh God, what's it called? I can't even remember the name of the story. I can just remember the story itself, which is a unsuccessful writer gets his 1,000th rejection letter as his girlfriend is leaving him, and he has a heart attack and dies. Dies on the floor looking at a picture of this hated editor who he's never actually met, but gives him all these kind of supercilious kind of things of like, I just don't. You keep on insisting on putting genre stuff in your lit stories, and therefore it's just not suitable for us. And I guess he's been told this 1,000 times, and yet hasn't gone, well, maybe I should submit my work somewhere else. But no, but he comes back as a ghost, and he comes back as a ghost that is linked to this editor who hovers over the head of this editor. The editor is visiting his senile mother, and the mother can see him. It's like, who's that? She says, but Black Man hovering over your head. And the editor can hear his voice in little bits. And apparently it's whenever he's actually mentioned, whenever his spite comes out, or perhaps when he's visiting kind of like older people who can actually, people who are really infirm, who can see him hovering over the editor, and his girlfriend comes to the editor and says, would it be possible to publish one of his stories? And they fall into an affair, and a couple of months later they're still at it, and she gets pregnant, and they get married. And he does publish a story, and it's like, well, okay, maybe I'm going to fade into obscurity now, but know that work with a kind of a glowing testimonial by this editor gets a lot of notice. They publish his work. The editor starts touring with the work, so it's like more and more kind of notice. And he's like, I'm never going to get out of this. I'm never going to get kind of the sweet release. They name the son that is born after him. So whenever they call the son, he gets conjured. The editor, while he's out and about touring the book, is also unfaithful to the former girlfriend. He's like, well, I was never unfaithful. I treated her like crap, but I was never unfaithful to her. Because he was only focused on this. He didn't want any children because he wanted to write, and in the end, the kid sees him, and it's like, why do you look so sad? It's like, you, and he's sort of like, what if I told him that you were mad at him? And he said he was sorry. Would that, would that help? And it's like virtually just saying this, suddenly all the tethers to this existence kind of are released, and he's floating. But he's not going to be, he says like, oh, I'm never going to be gone. I'm going to be everywhere. And that's the end of the story. Definitely, the theme in a lot of these stories, you can tell, of an older author, of the body falling apart and the fears of that, and then the fears of afterlife, and this one of holding on to my hate, or slightly a little bit of a revenge thing of it starts off as maybe a little revenge thing of being a ghost hovering over an editor, but quickly becomes just more torture for the poor writer who gets co-opted by people who had no use for him when he was alive, suddenly profiting and eulogizing him after his death. There's a bit of a cynical thing there, and I can see someone like Walter Mosley is kind of probably classified as a mystery writer, also science fiction, some science fiction. It's like, this is stuff that's like, it's not literary, or even worse, a bestseller is not gotten him probably the respect he wants, though what writer can probably say that? Not too many. So yeah, that is that story, which name I cannot remember. Track number 20. I'll try and note it down because I enjoyed that story. It definitely is a bit of an insight into the writer's mind, a genre-ish writer's mind, genre/literary writer's mind. and of someone of a certain generation. I'll write more videos later.